Good afternoon, everyone. New for you at 4. We now know the name of the man that was killed by officers after an hours-long incident with police yesterday. That man is 35-year-old Andrew Martinez. Sheriff Jesse Johnner says Martinez told negotiators he was coming out of the house in Mapleton with a gun. They urged him not to and to come out unarmed. Johnner says the man walked out of the house with what's believed to be a rifle. That's when officers fired at him. It's not clear if Martinez fired any shots. 4 Fargo police officers who are members of the Metro Street Crimes Unit are on administrative leave. New information out of Arthur, North Dakota. Now we're learning the name of the man who was taken to the hospital after his car rolled and caught on fire. That happened Saturday just before 4 p.m. Police say 19-year-old Dylan Kangas from Borup, Minnesota lost control of his vehicle. His injuries are not life-threatening. That crash is still under investigation. Summer joins us now with a first look at your forecast. Summer?
Thank you so much, Stacy, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. It has been a hot and muggy day, especially across the southern Red River Valley. Here's a look right now at our Luther Family Ford sky cam, and notice we've got a bit of a cloudy day, and that has been our saving grace from getting even hotter. Temperature right now in Fargo is 81. Notice how it's so much cooler up to the north, where we've got some areas in the 70s. 79 in Grand Forks and Hallock, 78 right now in Thief River Falls. Much hotter down to the south, where we have a current temperature of 96 degrees down in Sisseton. Heat index values, your feels like temperature, several areas just south of Fargo, Detroit Lakes, and Jamestown into the triple digits. And that is where we have a little bit of sunshine. Also seeing a little thunderstorm pop up just north of Sisseton right now. We have had a severe storm earlier this afternoon in parts of Beltrami and Lake of the Woods County. That is moving out, but we do have additional potential severe weather for tonight. Stacy, coming up, I'll have your hour-by-hour forecast and what hazards you might need to watch out for coming up.
All right, thanks so much for that, Summer. And it's a great idea to have your VNL weather app handy tonight. You can get forecasts right at your fingertips. Download and use it for free. Just search VNL Weather in your app store. Well, crews spent the early morning hours today trying to figure out what caused a train car to jump the tracks in Breckenridge. That happened around 11:30. Officials with Red River Valley Railroad say the car was quickly put back on the tracks and the train kept going down the line. No one was hurt. We're now just 1 week until Minnesota's primary election. Valley News Team's Justin Betty joins us live now in studio to break down what you need to know. Justin?
Thanks, Stacy. There are a few statewide races in the election, but this is really just the appetizer for the big plan. One of the things, though, on the proposal on the ballot next week is this plan for a sports complex in Crookston, Minnesota. But again, the big races are all coming up in November. In the race for governor, current Governor Tim Walz technically faces a challenge in the Democratic primary from a man named Ole Savior. He's run for a number of positions before, including for president, technically, as a Republican. Walz's big challenge in November. Former State Senator Scott Jensen has the state GOP endorsement, but Joycelyn Lacey and Bob Carney Jr. are also on the GOP primary ballot. You'll notice Carney's running mate legally listed as Captain Jack Sparrow. Just an interesting fact. There are also a statewide primary races for Attorney General, where current AG Keith Ellison on the DFL side faces either Doug Wardlow or Jim Schultz, who are running for a spot on the Republican ticket in November. And there are statewide primaries for Secretary of State, both on the Republican and the DFL side. You can find what's on your ballot, as well as information on how to vote, on our Valley News Live website. You see the 3 little horizontal lines at the top of the page. Click on those. You go right down to election, and you have all the information you'll need. This will load slowly. It's also on the VNL News app, right on your main page, Minnesota primary info. You can't miss it. Stacy?
All right, thanks so much, Justin. Well, in Georgia, one piece of legislation is gaining national attention. An unborn child with a detectable heartbeat is now eligible for the individual income tax dependent exemption. According to the Georgia Department of Revenue, the heartbeat law will allow taxpayers to claim an exemption of $3,000 for 2022 if an unborn child has a detectable heartbeat at any time on or after July 20th through the end of the year. This year's first direct test of abortion as an election issue suggests that voters will go to the polls to have their say. Kansas is the first state to have abortion rights on the ballot since the Supreme Court overruled Roe v. Wade in June. And as Caitlin Huey-Burns shows us, there's been a huge increase in early voting for today's primary.
Hi, how are you?
Knocking on doors and rallying voters in 90-degree heat. Activists on both sides of one of the most divisive issues in the country are making sure voters know that access to abortion is literally on the ballot. Walking down the streets in these suburban neighborhoods, it's easy to find very different points of view.
Ideally, of course, I think we would all love a total ban. We do live in a realistic world, so even if we could get restrictions, we would be very thankful and happy for that.
For Lori Mosqueda, the issue is personal.
When I was 15 years old, I accepted a ride home from work from a coworker, and he took me down to the river and left me there. I screamed no, and I wasn't heard then. He didn't listen to me. But I'm going to vote no, and people are going to listen. I am a Christian woman, but I had that choice back then, and I want every woman to have that choice.
Voting no will keep abortion rights in place. Voting yes will overturn them and allow the state legislature, which is controlled by Republicans, to act.
Do you think it would empower the state legislature to add restrictions?
Well, obviously the legislature can write new laws, but the trick is getting everyone on the same page. So it's going to be an uphill battle.
But as a lawmaker, do you want to see a ban?
Well, my personal opinion, I think we need more restrictions.
It's creating a manufactured healthcare crisis, and now it's like hundreds of phone calls.
Rebecca Tong is the co-executive director of a Wichita abortion clinic, which has seen an influx in calls from patients states away.
Several neighboring states have banned abortion already. They're coming here to Kansas. What does that mean for them?
It means that their state has left them behind, that they are going to be forced to carry their pregnancy further than they wanted.
If the measure passes tonight, abortion will still be legal here in Kansas, but only until the state legislature decides, and they come back into session in January. Caitlin Huey-Burns, CBS News, Olathe, Kansas.
And regardless, without Roe, the Kansas state legislature could still pass a bill banning abortion. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan has sparked controversy and raised tensions with China. Beijing regards the self-ruled island as a renegade province to be annexed by force if necessary. China appears to be threatened by Pelosi's visit and is threatening to retaliate. Natalie Brand reports from Capitol Hill.
In the first official visit to Taiwan in 25 years by a high-ranking U.S. government official, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi landed in Taipei Tuesday morning. Pelosi penned an op-ed about the trip, saying in part, "In the face of the Chinese Communist Party's accelerating aggression, our visit should be seen as an unequivocal statement that America stands with Taiwan, our democratic partner, as it defends itself and its freedom." Speaker Pelosi also notes the congressional delegation's visit in no way contradicts longstanding U.S. policy, which does not support Taiwan independence, but does support the island's democratic practices and right to self-defense.
We absolutely do support the right and the prerogative of congressional leaders, to include Speaker Pelosi, to visit Taiwan if that's what she wants to do.
The House Speaker's trip has bipartisan support here on Capitol Hill, even as it's increased tensions between the U.S. and China, with Beijing issuing a series of warnings calling the visit provocative.
At the end of the day, you do not want the Chinese Communist Party dictating to senior American leaders where they can and cannot travel.
Ahead of the congressional delegation touching down, Taiwan's presidential office reported its website was hit by a cyber attack. Isaac Stonefish is an expert on the region.
We don't believe that Beijing wants to start World War III over Pelosi's visit. I think what we'll see is increased hacking against Taiwanese and potentially American assets, increased pressure against Taiwanese and potentially American businesses.
House Speaker Pelosi is expected to meet with the democratically elected president of Taiwan's government on Wednesday. Natalie Brent, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer and 25 of his colleagues penned a statement in support of House Speaker Pelosi's trip. They said, in part, this travel is consistent with the United States' one China policy, to which we are committed. Former Daily Show host Jon Stewart says he's determined as he keeps the pressure on lawmakers to pass the PACT Act, which would expand health care and disability benefits to U.S. military vets, including those who were exposed to toxic burn pits in Iraq and Afghanistan.
If they can't get health care, if they go bankrupt, from their cancers that were caused by their service. What the hell are the rest of us supposed to do?
Both the Senate and House had approved the bill, but a technical issue meant it had to be voted on again. On the second vote in the Senate, more than 24 Republicans who voted for it in June have now changed their vote. But some Republicans are criticizing the bill, that it includes hundreds of billions of dollars in unrelated spending. Democrats are accusing Republicans of playing politics. The president has said he will sign that bill if it gets approved. The Fargo Police Department hosted the 17th annual Chiefs and Sheriffs Burger Cook-Off today. Cass County Sheriff's Office in Barnesville, Glendon, Fargo, and West Fargo and Moorhead Police all prepared just one burger each. They were judged on looks and taste.
It's not every day you get to come out and meet with your North Dakota partners and have a little bit of fun around a grill, and can kind of give each other some grief, and you're not in a meeting setting.
Little did Mark Empting, the Clay County Sheriff, know when he said that he was the winner of this year's Best Burger Contest. Congrats to him. Last year's winning burger title went to Chief Joseph Backlund of the Hawley Police Department. Later,